Okay, so today in class and tomorrow as well, we'll be covering long division. Okay, and we want to include long division in with decimals. Now, for a lot of people, division is quite difficult, and we're going to try to help you out the best we can. Okay, so the first thing to note is that there's actually some technical names with division. Now, the thing that's being divided up, that's called the dividend. The thing that's doing the divising is the divisor, and then the final answer is the quotient. Now, if you can remember these, that's great. Not many people do, but just as an extra thing. Now, we're going to be working long division, which is this format down here. Okay. Now, again, in this format, what's being divided up goes on the inside. Then the number part that's doing the dividing goes on the outside. And then your final answer, the quotient, is what's going to be on the top. Okay. So if we look at the example above, we were dividing 24 by 6, and the answer was 4. So that was the quotient. Okay. So we're going to practice this. Now, I've included on, you can see on the left-hand side, the multiplication table. If some of you are still struggling with your multiplication, this is a good thing to use, and we'll show you how it can assist you. Okay. So we'll start off with a fairly nice one. It's got the evil 7 there, but again, we have our multiplication table, so we can use that. So the first thing we're going to do is set up that little division sign. And then 9. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of space between the numbers, because again, if there's any kind of remainder, that's where we're going to write it in. Okay, so we're dividing by 7. Okay, so first of all, we check, does 7 go into 9? And yes, it does. Right? It goes in one time with a remainder of 2. Now, the remainder tacks on to the next number, goes in front, so that becomes now 23. Okay, so now I check. Okay, I've done that one. So 7 into 23. Now, again, if your multiplication isn't the greatest, we're dividing by 7. So we go across until we get a number that's close to the closest to 23, but not going over. Like 28 is too big. So we're going to go look at, so the answer is 21. Now 21 means the 7 went in 3 times, so that's the answer on the top, the 3. And then we think, okay, well that's 21. I've got 23, so when I take that away, the remainder is another 2. Again, that'll tack on to the next one. Okay, so that gives us 24. Again, it's actually the same number going in, right? The closest that we actually have there is 21 again. So that means it's another 3. Again, from 21, remainder 3. Now we're just going to be writing it this way for now. Well, later on we'll write the remainders differently, but just that there's 3 left over when we're done. Okay. Okay, now we'll try another one. Again, we could be practicing this with any numbers, but we want to keep, like I say, you could keep using this table. Again, I'm not worried about if we have a remainder. We just want to kind of break it up. Okay. So just choosing a random number, let's say 593. Okay, and we'll divide that by, actually, let's add a 4 as well. Why not? And we'll divide that by 8. Okay, another number that people are tricky with. So we're dividing by 8. So we're going to be looking at this row going across. Now 8 doesn't go into 5, so that's nothing. So now it's going to be both of these. Now, technically, this is the remainder, but so 8 into 59, we go all the way across. 64 is too big, so we're looking at 56. So looking up to find out what the number is that goes in the answer, that's 7. So 7 goes there. And from 56, we're going to have 3 left over. So again, that writes in front to make 33. Okay, so the remainder just tacks into that other number. Okay, So now we'll do the next one. We have 33. Again, we're following across if we're not sure what that is. And 40 is too big, so that's 32. Again, we go up. That means 4 is goes into the answer, right? That number up here. And if we have 32, we take that away from 33, and the remainder is 1, which tacks on again. The remainder is going to the next number, so that's 14 now. Okay. We erase that. Okay. And now 8 into 14. Well, again, 16 is too big, so it must be just the plain 8. Look at our multiplication table. That means it went in one time. And the remainder, 8 from 14 is 6. So the remainder is 6. Okay, 700. So that's your answer there. 741, remainder 6. Okay. Now, the next thing we wanted to look at is actually with decimals. Okay. Now there's a whole bunch of different decimal scenarios. The only one that we looked at on Monday, okay, is if I have a decimal in the quotient. Decimal in the dividend. Now this is the easiest one to work with. Okay. So again, I'm going to now say something like, and we'll give ourselves some space. Let's say 7.42 divided by 5. Okay. So 7.42 divided by 5. Now again, just like remember when we were multiplying decimals, we said, step 1, ignore the decimal. Well, we're going to do the same thing with this. Except before we ignore it, we're going to move it straight up and put it into the quotient. Now, as long as we keep all of the numbers lined up, it'll end up in the right place, and we won't have to worry about it at the end. Okay? So now we just divide. We don't have to worry about the decimal. It's already taken care of. 5 goes into 7 one time. Right? And again, if you want, you can be using the grid on the side. Okay, there's 2 left over. Then we look at 5 into 24. So again, if I'm having to use the grid, 25 is too big, so that leaves 20, which tells me 4 goes on the top. And the remainder from that is going to be 4, right? 24, take away the 20 is 4, so it tacks on there, makes 42. Again, looking at it now, I go across. Now we're going to move the grid a little bit. Going across, 45 is too far. So 40 is the answer, which again, looking up, that's an 8. And to find the remainder, well, 42, take away 40. Remainder is 2. Okay, 1.48, remainder 2. Okay. Now, later on, we're going to be doing more with this. I don't want you to worry about it for now. We're just trying to get the idea of how to get that decimal in there. And like I say, as soon as we know how to do this type of question, it's the exact same thing because we've already put the decimal in the right spot. Okay. We'll do one more on this sheet. So when we have this, let's say 6 into 10.4. Okay, 6 into 10.4. So again, the decimal comes up right away. Decimal. 6 doesn't go into 1, but 6 goes into 10 one time, right? The remainder after that is 4. It tacks on, so 44. And again,